how many people took the COVID shot in the United States of America? What's the nation's progress on vaccinations? We're talking about the U.S. coronavirus vaccine tracker here. We're not talking about all vaccinations, right? At least, what's that? 270,227,181 people, or 81% of the population have received at least one dose. Overall, 230,637,348 people, or 70% of the population, are considered fully vaccinated. Now, I'm asking how many people in the United States have died of the COVID vaccine? Now, I don't know which one to read first. The National Institute of Health, which is a very good website. I go to them. They're my go-to site. Or should we go to the government? We'll do both. How about that? Now, okay, we'll go to the National Library of Medicine. This is a scientific journal. And I'm going to tell you why and how Ank West and them don't respect science. And I do. I had scientific classes, and I learned in early science how vitamins and nutrients and medicine greatly affect health. And my doctors tell me these things, right? But this guy's telling me otherwise. I told Ank West during COVID that pretty much health and nutrition, right? You know, an immune system thing. And I also told him specifically what God created from the earth that would get rid of COVID in 3 fucking days. I also told him that hundreds of people have gotten rid of COVID in 3 days because of the knowledge that I have given them, right? So this guy can't act like he don't fucking know. He knows. He's just being fucking defiant. And I'm going to show you why this guy is, he keep talking about vaccines, and he was promoting the vaccine and shit, the COVID vaccine. Let's read what the National Library of Medicine had to say. The National Center for Biotechnology Information has to fucking say. We got to stop listening to these pseudos. And a motherfucker call a nigga pseudo and you want to believe him. Nigga, nah. We got to stop all that bullshit and fallacies that y'all doing, bro. Okay, this article is Death After the Administration of COVID-19 Vaccines Approved by EMA. Has a casual relationship been demonstrated? Now, this is a journal. This is what's called a scientific study or a peer review. And these people up here are the peers, right? That either did this study or reviewed it. Surely they are peers, okay? Abstract. More than 8 billion doses of COVID-19 vaccines has been administered globally so far, and 44.29% of people are fully vaccinated. Pre-authorization clinical trials were carried out, and the safety of vaccines is still continuously monitored through post-commercialization surveillance. However, some people are afraid of vaccine side effects, claiming they could lead to death, and hesitate to get vaccinated. And I am one of those people, right? And I never had fucking COVID. Herein A literature review of COVID-19 vaccine-related deaths has been carried out according to PRISMA standards. Can you tell us what PRISMA is, Mr. Scientific Literacy, or do I have to go and teach the people what that is? Because you're not scientifically literate, and you don't know what the fuck PRISMA is, right? So, a literature review of COVID-19 vaccine-related deaths has been carried out according to PRISMA standards to understand if there is a causal relationship between vaccination and death, and to highlight the real extent of such events. There have been 55 cases of death after COVID-19 vaccination reported. This is in a study, right? Not in the world, but just in the study. And a causal relationship has been excluded in 17 cases. Meaning that out of the 55 deaths, only a casual occurrence of COVID has been excluded. Only 17 cases. Meaning that the rest of the cases you have to look at. Blame it on this goddamn vaccine, you dumb clown ass nigga. Now, in the remaining cases, the causal link between the vaccines and the death was not specified. Because I'm specifying it for ya. Or considered possible, or probable, or very probable, demonstrated. Meaning that this thing was so new that they didn't even have the technology or knowledge to even say nothing. They basically can't say nothing about it. That's what that means, basically. Truthfully. And I'll argue that with your best fucking scholar, dummies over there. Right? The causes of deaths amongst these cases were vaccine-induced immune thrombotic thrombocytopenia. Oh my goodness. The causes of death amongst these cases were vaccine-induced immune thrombotic thrombocytopenia. VITT 32. Myocarditis, which is heart attacks, right? I don't know how to say that word, but I know what that is. Unc couldn't tell you that. And ADEM, right? Unc couldn't tell you that. Or myocardial infarctions, which is when you're having heart problems, right? All of that is heart. Myocardial is heart, right? These are very heart problems. This is what happened with the vaccine. And number one reason was it was vaccine-induced, right? This is way before we distill all number one. All of this is vaccine-induced. This is why I say this nigga don't know how to read. Right? And it's either he don't know how to read or he just defiantly failed to read. Surely this motherfucker is not scientifically literate. In such cases, the demonstration of a causal relationship is not obvious, meaning that the demonstration of these people casually catching COVID is not common. And more studies, especially with post-mortem, meaning after-death investigations, are needed to deepen understanding of the possible psychophysiological mechanisms of fatal vaccine side effects. Deadly vaccine side effects. In any event, given the scarcity of fatal cases, the benefits of vaccination outweighs the risk, And the scientific community needs to be cohesive in asserting the vaccination and is fundamental to containing the spread of SARS. Right? Now, you have to understand, like Uncle was saying, he was talking about science and how science is basically for the benefit of those leaders and the rulers of the land, right? And when these people are talking about how the vaccination outweighs the risk and the scientific community need to be cohesive, let's talk about the number of black people that died in the United States of America during COVID. Those who have had the shot and those who didn't. I don't know one person who didn't have the shot who didn't catch goddamn COVID. I know several people who didn't have the shot who didn't catch COVID. So let's do this investigation, Mr. Scientific Literate Liar. You niggas is a fucking farce out here, dog. Now, I mean, this is the information age, people. All you gotta do is just Google shit, right? I asked Google, did more black people or white people die from COVID? Now, let's look at this, right? It says, while more white people died from COVID-19 overall, when age adjusted, black, Hispanic, Asian, and Inopi people have experienced higher rates of COVID-19 deaths than white people. This means that when you account for differences in age between the groups, the death rate are disproportionately higher for these racial and ethnic groups. People, COVID-19 was the attempt to get rid of the children of Israel, meaning the great host and body of the indigenous Americans, which are African and Indian people. Now, being that okay, there's not one person under my care during COVID that died from COVID, right? There's one particular case where there was a family member where everybody in the family got a chance to get cared for by me. And the one who did not end up dying from COVID. Let that sink in. This is 2025, and I have yet to catch COVID. Every person that I know on social media, my homeboy Eric Mad Scientist, Sinetta, JJ7000, maybe even Ank West, Jabari, all these niggas have been touched and affected, maybe even infected by COVID-19. And almost all them niggas, except for one, have been vaccinated. And they all caught COVID-19. The record still, the scientific record, right? The knowledge record, the life existing record still stands that I have not caught COVID yet. And that my regimen works, right? I know what I did. I know why it works, right? And this article will explain it. Now, this clown ass nigga Ank West supposed to be scientifically literate, but he couldn't explain to me why these things happen. Because why these things happen goes against what he calls, go against his scientific illiteracy. And it proves him wrong, a liar, a fucking fraud. Let's get to it. Are you a Novit? I'm a Novit. Or COVID super dodger? I'm a COVID super dodger too, right? Someone who's never had COVID. Well, all of these are me. Science has some clues why. Ank West ain't got a motherfucking clue why. He too busy want to call niggas like me liars, frauds, and scam artists, right? Cats like me, fucking a divine prospect scam artist. I would even go as far as saying polite, right? Because to be a good scam artist, you got to have some truth in you. And that was just one thing that Polite had that was the truth, which is probably what allowed him to deceive the people. But infectious diseases expert Sabrina Asumau says researchers are working to understand why some people have avoided the virus or show no symptoms when infected. Right? All summer long, we'll be reporting stories that originally published during 2022-2003 academic year. See, we talk about academic years. See, we talk about academia, right? Real academia, something that we're not afraid of over here on the Yashab in Israel Israelite Thought channel. Stories about research, BU classes, food, alumni, and student profiles, and more. Right? We talk academia over here. You know, you talk about there's no engagements on my channel. That's because when the teacher is talking, respectful students shut the fuck up. They ain't got time to engage. They're too busy soaking up the knowledge, dummy. Now let's get back to this. If you haven't had COVID-19 yet, explain yourself, please. Okay? I haven't had COVID-19 yet because I worship Yahweh God. I follow the law, statutes, and commandments that was given to me as a natural bloodline descendant of the black Afro-Asiatic house of Israel. Now let's see what the scientist has to say about that. All right? However, is that possible? Globally, there have been more than 663 million cases of COVID since the virus first began circulating. Your family has probably had it, your colleagues, your neighbors, your mailman, your manicurist, and your hairstylist. Your dog probably even had it. Stories of those who somehow avoided the virus seem possible to fathom. It says stories of those who somehow avoided the virus seems impossible to fathom. Well, I'm sure that Ank West can't fathom it. I have never had COVID, right? And I told him when it was going down that I ain't got COVID, that I ain't gonna catch COVID, and the people that I have cured will never catch COVID again. And that's been the case in 99.9% of the cases. Because if it was 100% of the case, I would blame it on God. But because it was 99% of the case, I'd have to label this a scientific fact. Right? So let's go forward. Your dog probably had it. Stories of those who somehow avoided the virus seem impossible to fathom now that 3 years have passed since it first started spreading around the world in 2020. Now this is 5 years because this is 2025. But for scientists, those who called super dodgers or novids or COVID virgins are some as some are calling them, are important research subjects. Ank West, get this, Ank West. Do you get this? This is a scientific magazine. People that are scientifically literate, they get scientific magazines, right? Like people that are biblically literate, they get biblical magazines and their house is filled with biblical art and biblical tracts. Well, people that really study science, their house has science in it. And they have scientific journals and magazines just sitting around their home because that's what a person who's really into science do. And you don't do that, dummy, right? Because right here it says that for scientists, these so-called super dodgers or novids or COVID virgins, as some are calling them, are important research subjects. But you don't seem to think that I'm important. You rather call me the motherfucker police. You rather get my motherfucker Facebook page striked and flagged. You hoe ass, bitch ass nigga. You don't think I'm important because you're not a scientific motherfucker. You's a fraud, nigga. It says for scientists would see a motherfucker like me as important and would dig into that and try to dig into it and do a fucking scientific analytical research on that. Bitch, I told you that when COVID was going down and not one time have you tried to take what I say and apply the scientific method to what I said? You bitch ass, hoe ass, fake ass nigga. But guess what? But for scientists, these so-called super dodgers, right? And these novids and these COVID virgins are some, as some are calling them, like myself, are research subjects. If scientists can determine whether they have some unknown antibody, and I do, I have an unknown antibody. And this unknown antibody that I use, are called antioxidants, right? Because it is unknown about the antioxidants that are in certain plants, namely the elderberry plant. So now that I'm telling y'all what's up, the next plant disease that y'all put out here, y'all going to have it to where the elderberry is not going to be effective. But I, as a student of Dr. Layla Africa and Dr. Sabi, we got you, brother, right? So they want to know if scientists can determine whether they have some, people like me, that I have some unknown antibody. It ain't an antibody. It's an antioxidant, dummy. Or a genetic code. We do have a genetic code. It's the E branches, right? It's the E branches, right? That's the genetic code, which is an Israelite branch, right? Or a mysterious cell makeup that has helped them ward off COVID. Well, this mysterious cell makeup is called antioxidants. Antioxidants coat the cells like a bulletproof vest, causing all free radicals and viruses and bacteria to bounce off like a bulletproof vest. It's just that simple, right? Or mysterious cell makeup that has helped them ward off COVID, the way Superman deflects bullets. I just got finished talking about that. Or perhaps that knowledge could be better used to create better vaccines or treatment for other people. Sadly, this knowledge will be used. The knowledge that I gave you and I should not have, and this is why I don't like beefing with whole ass niggas like Ank West, is because this knowledge that I have will be weaponized against the people. And I'm telling you, the next shit that they put out here, elderberries ain't going to be able to help it. That's because I am giving you this, because they're not concerned with helping the people. We all have witnessed during the Trump administration how the government went against the very president of the United States about this vaccination garbage. As the head man and the leader of this country, our President Trump was very much against vaccination. But the medical industry felt that they knew more than President Trump. And millions of people died after vaccination, which should not have happened. I'm going to let you all get a look at some of the topics here that was in this study. And it talks about, was it luck or was it genetics or was it cautiousness? And I'm going to tell you it was God, because God is luck, right? Luck is not science. It is genetic, because I am of the first natural bloodline on the planet, and science has proven that. And it was also due to consciousness. And it was a contribution of all of these. Science is still interested in these people, even now, 3 years into the virus. There definitely is a special interest. Well, I'm going to keep quiet because I am not interested in talking to them, because they're not interested into helping and saving the world. They're into monopolizing knowledge and weaponizing it against the world. And if you ain't got the money or the insurance, then you die and go to a hell that they have waiting on you, right? And they're talking about, the guy who did the study talk about how he specialized in HIV. Well, I want to let you all know, for the record, I've beat cancer, I've beat the flu, I've beat the cold, I've beat HIV, right? None of these things are on my fucking record, right? I've beat, I can't count the diseases that I have beat. Was I exposed to them? I was exposed to probably everything, COVID, all this shit. I've been exposed to crack, cocaine, heroin. I've been exposed to all the hells that my brothers and sisters have been exposed to. And I beat them all. What are the challenges for scientists? It is hard right now because many people have become infected. Omicron is very transmittable, so many people get infected. Omicron came out here and I beat Omicron. Omicron with shit, right? It therefore became harder to find people who haven't been infected. All you gotta do is look over here, right? To find what genes could be impacted. I make the task a lot harder. Well, I know that in my household, right? This is my household. There was 4 people living in my household, right? 2 people caught COVID, right? 2 people. 2 people didn't. Me and my sister never caught COVID. None of the time. We're talking about in 5 years. My nephew caught COVID. He said the first day he was walking around putting on a lot of cologne. He couldn't smell his cologne. He couldn't taste his food. Him and his wife and his child, this is when people were dying of COVID. I did my prayer. That's what I'm going to say. I'm not going to say I healed anyone, right? I'm not going to say I gave anyone a special herb, right? Because I'm religious. I'm going to say I did my prayers. And that's how you avoid these devils taking your power from you. So I did my prayers, right? And they were active prayers. They just wasn't talk, right? They were prayers and rituals. We did our prayers and rituals, which ain't none of your business if you not Israelite, right? And within 4 or 5 hours, my nephew was able to smell again. He didn't have that metallic taste in his mouth. His wife didn't have it. So I beat them to the COVID test, right? When they went and took their COVID test, we knew that they had it. We knew that they was infected by it. So he went to go get a COVID test, right? When they went to get tested, they met me first. About 5 hours later, they went and got tested. When they felt that they didn't taste this stuff anymore, I said, y'all said y'all was going to go get tested. Don't stop now. Go get tested. Y'all scared y'all got COVID-19. I said that y'all not going to get it coming over here. believing in Yahweh, believing in what is real and what exists. And that's what they did. They didn't believe in God or this white man sitting on the stone. They believed in Yahweh, that which existed. They came over here, they put their life on the line. They didn't pay anything. We prayed, we did our ritual, and they and their family did not have COVID no more. So that's 3 people now in the house who never had COVID again. The 4th person was my mother, who took the COVID shot when I told her not to. So she ended up getting COVID. The crazy part about it was she got COVID, she tested positive, meaning that I was exposed to COVID because she lived with me, right? She tested positive and was purely asymptomatic. And this woman was on a breathing machine already with COVID, not experiencing a single symptom. But I do know that I have a cousin, pretty much like DMX. She took the COVID shot. Maybe a day or so later, she caught COVID. She went to the hospital and she expired. People, stop listening to these pseudo people like Ank West. These people hate God. They really hate science, right? This is proof that they hate science because science agree with me, right? I say don't take that shot, right? I say that there's a way to beat COVID, right? The scientist says that there's people who have beaten it. I am one of those people that have beaten it. And I am telling you how I did it. And it all goes back to this very first statement here. What was that very first statement? It was somewhere in this first line. It said something like, where it says something about people couldn't fathom, right? It says stories of people who've somehow avoided the virus seems impossible to fathom now that 5 years have passed since it first started spreading around the world in 2020. And here it is, 2025. So before we close this out, let's hear from Ank West and Sonetta and those guys over there. Big ups to Sonetta. But Ank West, you a straight bitch ass nigga, boy. So you'll open up a study, right? And it'll say something like this. This is what scientific literacy does to a person, right? It says claims that millions of people have died from COVID-19 vaccine are unfounded. And it is, people. You know why these claims are unfounded? Because there was no research done on it. There is absolutely no studies as of that date. This was like a year ago, June 26, 2024, excuse me. This was roughly around a year ago, 4 years into COVID, and still no research was done. See, to be able to combat cats like Ank West, I was looking for the research, the scientific journals, right? The peer reviews. And there was none done. That's what they mean by it was not founded. Unfounded don't mean untrue. It just means that they have not done the scientific research on it. Trust me. Claims that millions of people have died from the COVID-19 vaccine, they are unfounded, but very true.